And welcome along to the next instalment of my Gold Grabbers YouTube channel. So I've just arrived in Tyndrum, come up for probably a 4 or 5 day trip. Just have to watch where I'm walking here. At the moment I'm just setting off. I'm just working my way up towards that big mountain there. I'm going to be choosing somewhere along there to actually have a little pan along. Just a bit rugged terrain to get there, that's all. Now I normally do bring a really big heavy backpack with me. Today I've almost halved the weight of it. I'm going to be doing more of a crevicing type day rather than just pick a hole and hit it until you get to the bottom of the bedrock day. Oh, I'm out of shape. I haven't been gold prospecting in a long time. Just getting up to the bridge. Under here, always close the gate if you do come up this section. And you can see that waterway down there. That's pretty much man-made riffles in there, but obviously we're running lengthways. Any cracks going across there, they might be good places to try and do some crevicing, but I'm not going to be interested in that today. I'm going to be working further upstream. So I'll get through this gate, get the camera back out, and we'll see how far we get. You can see just looking at the river on this big open space bit area here. This is a major big floodplain area. All the water's going to be barreling down all the hillsides when it's in big flood. That's why you see all of these stones laid out as they are. And from the looks of it, someone's had a bloody good go at a hole right in the middle. Let's have a look at this. Someone spent a good couple of days there. That's a hell of a hole. Generally you are supposed to fill your holes back in, but I suppose that'll get filled in with the next flood straight away. All the flood waters will just push all these stones in and fill that in. So someone's had a good go, but I'm going to be going further up. So I'll crack on and pick it up when I've found somewhere that looks nice and tasty. So I've got up to the rough stretch that I'm going to be working. You can just see looking upstream, it's such a big boulder zone. It's pretty much take your pick. There's that many big boulders you could work behind. Not a lot of bends, but there's areas where it levels out. That will also create a low pressure zone as well. That's why you see mounds of big boulders in the wider areas. Then when it goes down to the narrow areas, a lot less boulders as it's getting forced straight down. So I might have a little wander up there, but I've already dropped my gear off a little further down there. Saw a little area that looked like it might have a little area that might be worth a little pan or two out of. At the moment I'm just having a little look around though. I'll still be able to get a couple of pans in before the day's out. Then there's going to be a few more days panning to come. So I say this one's just more scoping an area out, seeing where I'll spend the rest of the trip. Whether it's down there where my gear is, or whether it's up there where it's pretty much Boulder Alley. So I'm going to have a little more wandering about, and I'll crack on, choose a spot, and see what we get for the day. So this is the area that I've actually chose to have a little dabble at today. I say I've only got a few hours today, so if it's not very productive I'll have a further walk upstream tomorrow. You can see this area is a nice low pressure area. You can see further upstream the river is quite narrow, so the water will be flooding through that when it's actually in flood, like gushing through. Then you can see it actually opens up into a wider span area, and that's why you can see all big boulders starting to mound up at the top. Then you're starting to trail down into all of the flood gravels behind. So pretty much most of this would contain probably trace gold. Now to try and find an area that's going to have a good bit, I'm thinking maybe behind that big boulder there, try and get right in, right deep behind it. There's another boulder down here around this area as well. That's probably going to be a nice low pressure area because it's going up right against the bedrock as well. So that little pool of gravel's in there. That might be a good little dabble place as well. So there's a few places. I haven't brought a huge amount of gear with me today. I haven't brought a bucket or anything. It's just going to be pan, classifier. I have brought my sluice, shovel and pump as well. But it's just going to be a case of filling my pans, seeing what they're like. If there's any shows of gold, I'll start sluicing pans worth through the sluice and see what we end up for the day. So I'll get my tools out, get set up, choose an area. I'm going to probably have a go behind this big boulder first. Just rake off a lot of the top stuff. Then take a few test pans, see if there's going to be anything there. Then we'll see whether there's going to be anything in there or not, or whether it's going to be worth trying a bit further up tomorrow. So I've just done a really quick test pan. I mean the quickest test pan I think I've ever done. cleared a couple of stones out of that behind that big boulder, took 3 scoops and just panned those scoops, and there's the first speck of gold of the trip. Okay, it's only a really small micro dot really. I don't even know how well the camera will pick it up. It's the first time I'm being away using this camera, but it just goes to show 3 scoops behind a boulder, and there's the first show of gold, and there's plenty more gravels in there to go as well. So I'll take a few more test pans. Hopefully it's going to increase from 1, but at least it shows straight away. First pan of the day, first little bit of gold. So I'll continue clearing this out and see what it's got to hold. So that's the second pan done, and second bit of gold in there. There's a few more micro dots as well. Bit of increase on the black sand as well, so it's a good sign. You can see the big bedrock slab that I'm working along the side of. That's what this big boulder is basically sat on top of. And I've just been working down, and you can see it sort of bends down and behind as well. So I'm probably going to start throwing all of this through the sluice. There's a lot of material in here. It's all going to have been built up through low pressure, all whipping underneath the actual boulder when the water's flowing past. So the only way to find out is to give a really good test sample, chuck a few pans worth through the sluice. It'll be a bit quicker just working it like that. I'll do probably 5 or 6 pans, give the sluice a clean out, and then we'll see what that's going to give from there. So it was a good idea to run a test run through the sluice. I just found the nicest bit so far. As I say, I hope the GoPro's making it out. But there's that really nice bit there, and another smaller but still nicer bit to the left. Another bit just beneath it. Another bit to the left of that as well. Lots of ironstone as well, so it shows I'm getting down into where all the heavy material's been accumulating. But as I say, that piece right there is really nice. I'm really pleased to have found that so early in the trip. I say that's would have been the equivalent of about the 4th or 5th test pan, but I just pummeled it all straight through the sluice instead. Just shovel straight into the sluice. I'll record a bit of the next lot I do. The hole's getting nice and deep beneath it as well. So I'll get all of this snuffered up. I'll show what I'm actually doing next time round, because there's my little sluice over there as well. And hopefully we'll find a few more bits just like that, if not more. So there we go, another little gold show. Not as nice as the last one, but still, it's still a little bit more to show. That little bit there, and then there's a few more micro dots in the black sand as well. So that'll all get snuffed up. We'll have a final clean out when at home as well. But it's still another show, another little bit down there as well. So I'm going to pan this a little bit better, snuff this all out, crack on. And so because there's only a few hours left, I might continue with this. You can see that there itself looks as though this is bedrock, part of this main slab here, and that's going down underneath the hole, and you can start to feel a lot of gravels underneath there as well, so that itself might be a nice catch area. So I'm going to continue working that. I might be able to get my gravel pump in there now there's a little bit of water in there, start to clear that out a little bit better, see if there's going to be any better gold shows. If not, I might have another little dot around here just for the rest of the day, but I think for the rest of the trip I'll probably head a little bit further up. So I'll get this cleaned out, snuff it up, continue with this and see if it's got a little bit more to give or not. Well, it's always the case when you're making videos. When you record bits, barely any shows up. And this time I just did 1 pan's worth sucked up with the gravel pump out of the hole, just while there was some water in it. And 2 really nice bits there. As I say, I just hope the GoPro makes it out. But 2 really nice bits, and then a few smaller bits just beneath and around it as well. And as I say, that was just off 1 pan's worth of material. So I'm going to continue with this hole, try and suck out as much as I can with the gravel pump. If the water doesn't replenish itself, I might just pump water into the hole. That'll help wash down any gold that might be trapped on the actual side of the bedrock wall going down. Then I'll be able to pump it out a little bit easier as well. So first things first, get these snuffered up, fill another pan, see what that one's got to give. So there's another full pan's worth of material. So I'm just going to set the sluice back up, just bang it straight through the sluice, just because it takes seconds to work through the sluice rather than a good few minutes to work down a full pan like that. As I say, the sluice will take seconds, and clean it back out into the pan, and then we'll see what that one's got to give. Just a few small specks on that one, but again, it's only 1 pan's worth of material, and there's only about an hour and a half left before it's going to start getting dark. So I'm going to suck out as much as I can with that hole, and then the rest of the trip I'll try somewhere new. But at least it's been gold on the first day. It's always a good sign, always nice to find. So I'll crack on, get another couple of pans ran through, and see what we end up with. So I've just ran 3 pans worth, full pans worth of material through the sluice. Just about to give it a clean out now. Starting to get a little bit late in the day, that's why I didn't really film much of this one. As I say, it's just a case of trying to get through as much material now before the end of the day. The hole's getting nice and deep, starting to get cleaned out quite well. I'm having to actually fill the hole up with water. I'm using my viewer there, just filling it with water and filling the hole up, then just so I can actually use the gravel pump to get the material back out. So let's have a quick look, and as I say, this is all the concentrate from the sluice. So time to give it a pan out and see what 3 pans worth of material has to hold. There we go, that's not a bad result at all for just 3 pans worth of material. There's the nicest bit of the day. As I say, just hope the camera will make it out properly. But as I say, that's a really nice piece, a couple of smaller pieces and some flower gold around it as well. So the hole's starting to pay out a little bit. As I say, that's just 3 pans of material, not a bucket or anything. So I'm going to crack on, get this snuffered up. And as I say, I probably won't film much again. I'll just try and rattle through a few more pans worth through the sluice, and I'll pick it back up when it's about time to pan it out and see what we're going to end up with. So 2 more pans through the sluice and a few more nicer bits to show, as well as a shotgun pellet as well. That's the 2nd shotgun pellet I've had out of this hole. So it shows that it is collecting the heavies. So still about an hour left of the day. I'm not going to choose anywhere new now. I'm just going to pretty much scrape this hole clean. It's pretty much down to the dregs now. Get away from the river noise. But yeah, in case that wasn't made out, that was just 2 pans worth through the sluice. I've had another 2 pans worth. I've snuffered those up. I didn't film those. But the actual hole itself, I've filled it back with water now. Just trying to get the last little bits out of gravel that I can. I've had my hand in there, I've got a full arm length glove, just to try and make sure that I can't feel any loose gravels along the bottom, and any that I can actually feel, even with the gravel pump, they're pretty much just either not coming up, they're in just such an awkward place. And the only way to get to them now would be to lift this slab, and I'm not lifting that, no chance. If the gold was superb, I'd leave it and get a friend down, but no, even 2 or 3 people, that's a hefty slab. So I'm pretty much done with it now. I might be able to get one more sluice run with another 2, maybe 3 pans if I'm lucky. So bucket wise, it's probably only been maybe 2 buckets worth of material so far. So it's not too bad for just 2 buckets worth. So that's it, I'll try and crack on. Try and run a few more pans through the sluice. I'll bring a bucket with me tomorrow, so I should be able to work a lot more material. As I say, I'm just not going to work this spot. Maybe somewhere around it, or as I say, further upstream. But I've still got the rest of the day to finish off, so I'll try and get a few more pans through the sluice. So I've just put the last pan's worth through the sluice for the day. Just about to empty it out into the pan, give it a clean out, and then see what we got. There's a few nice colours to finish off the day with. I say that was just 1 pan's worth as well, and there's a few nice colours in there. I say I just filled the full pan, ran it through the sluice just to save having to pan it down by hand with a full pan's worth. It only takes seconds to run it through the sluice, then not long at all just to actually pan off the concentrate from the sluice. So that's not a bad finish really. The hole is pretty much tapped out. I've tried to get as much out of it as possible. It goes right back, as you can see. And if I get the pump, see it goes down and back. But this bedrock shelf going down does bottom off on this side. It slopes down on there, but then it pops back up in a ridge. That's the good thing about actually wearing full length gloves. You can get in and actually find out what's going on in areas that you can't actually see. But even just feeling around on the bottom, I'm not able to feel a lot of gravels at all now. I've been taken out everywhere where I could, and as I say, it's pretty much down to the very, very dregs now. Not much left in there at all, especially considering what it was like when it was started. And it's only been worked just by filling pan at a time rather than a full bucket. So that's been a bad first day for the trip. I'll get this snuffered up, get the snuffer bottle out, empty it out, give it a clean out, show you what I've got just for the day. This is day 2 of the probably a 4 or 5 day trip that I'm going to be having in mid-October. I've just got back to where I finished working yesterday, and I'm going to finish off the hole that I started yesterday. There's a full video on my channel showing that hole getting worked and the gold that I've got out of it so far. I'll take you down to it now just to show you it. It's actually cleared out a bit overnight. A lot of the water's drained off, so you can actually see the hole now. You can see, well, hopefully you'll be able to make out, there's that sloping bedrock slab going down, and then there's a little bit of like a boil hole type there. That's where I was getting most of the material out. But as you can see, it's pretty much down to just the dregs and scrapings now. So I'm actually going to get part of my crevicing toolkit out, get a paintbrush out, start brushing all the material all off the sides down into that bottom area. I'll be getting my gravel pump out, sucking that out, and trying to basically just finish off this hole. That down there, the boil hole there, that's pretty much the base of this bedrock slab going down as well. I've had my hand in there with the glove on, trying to feel around, make sure there's no more loose gravels. As I say, I think it's pretty much just going to be a bucket's worth of material left to come out of that, if that. That's going to get sluiced through, panned through, and then I'm going to choose a new spot for the day. There's plenty of material that could be worked around here, but I think I might go a little bit further upstream just to have a look. This is the furthest I've been upstream at Tyndrum so far, so anywhere further is just going to be exploring new places, and that's part of the adventures of getting out and doing a bit of prospecting. So I'm going to get all my gear set back up. As I say, try and get as much material left out of that hole as possible, pretty much so hopefully it'll be as bare as material as possible. Then, as I say, I'll show you the results if there's any gold left. I did get a good few nice bits out of it yesterday. As I say, there is a video on my channel of that actual extraction of material and processing. So I'll get all my gear out, get cracked on, and see what today's got to give. So I've just finished scraping out and pumping out every little last bit of material I could get from underneath that hole. As I say, I've had tools in, I've had a little scraper at the very back of it, I've had the paintbrush out, brushing all the material down into the hole. It's all been sucked out with the gravel pump, and even with the long arm glove on, I can't feel any loose materials in this hole. anymore. The only way to make sure it's 100% clean would be to actually remove this huge slab that's sat on top of it, drain the hole out, and there's no way I'm moving this slab. So as I say, I'm quite happy that I've got as much as is feasibly possible to get out from underneath there. Not even probably a quarter bucket left. So as I say, I did run quite a bit of material yesterday, but yesterday it was just sluicing pans worth at a time rather than a bucket. At least I've actually brought my bucket today, so it means less back and forth, back and forth. So I'm going to get my sluice set up, run this last little bit of material that's came out from this hole, see if there's any gold left over from yesterday's main extraction of material, and then we'll have a look and see where else I'm going to spend for the rest of the day. Right, so the results from that small amount of material in the bucket, not a lot, just a couple of small little specks, but that just goes to show that I've probably managed to get most, if not all, of the actual gold out from what that hole had to offer yesterday, so that's a good sign. As I say, there's no material left in it at all left now, so I'm just going to get those daft little bits snuffed up, and then as I say, decide what I'm going to do for the rest of the day. I might even just run a full bucket's worth of test material just from all of this looser material, because it's all still sat on top of bedrock, because all this is bedrock going along the side of the river and swooping in. So all of this material still going to have been caught in a low pressure zone behind this boulder when the river's in flood anyway. And for the sake of, it'll only take probably about 5 minutes to fill a bucket, another 5 minutes to run it. So for 10 minutes to be able to run a good bulk sample of material out of all this as well, just to see if there's anything in it. If there isn't, as I say, then it'll be a case of deciding where to move on. So I'll get this snuffed up. Yep, I'm going to fill a full bucket worth just of this material. I'll be scraping it all off the bottom of the bedrock as much as possible, run that through and see what that's got to give. So as you can see, I've just taken a full bucket's worth of material from running along the actual side of the bedrock slab. As you can see, as it slopes down under this slab, it also slopes down that side as well. So again, hopefully that's still going to be able to be catching some gold that's going to be flooding around the side of this and then getting caught and swirled up and hopefully getting channeled down there. Now I'm scraping all the way along the bottom of this bedrock slab going down. So I say that's only taken 5 minutes to fill that bucket because it's all relatively loose material, but if you scrape getting down against the bedrock, then it's okay. If it's loose material, we'll still be able to see what it's got to give. So that's that bucket full. Just want to get the sluice set back up again, see what that's got to give. I might still run a second bucket as well, just because it's so quick, just again because it's more sampling than anything else. It doesn't take long, 5 minutes to fill a bucket, 5 minutes to sluice it, and at least I'll be able to get this whole area a good actual test run. And if it's not very productive, as I say, we'll move on. But if it's going to be giving gold, might as well work the material. So I'll get this all sluiced through and see what it's got to give. Right, so there's the results of that totally random bucket's worth of material there from next to the slab. There's a couple of nice little pieces in there. As I say, I hope the camera's going to make it out okay or not, I don't know. But there's 4 okay sized pieces and plenty of micro dotty stuff in there as well. So again, as I said, that's not bad just for a totally random hole right next to a bedrock slab. So I'm going to have another bucket, extend it out a bit more, again just following the actual channel of the bedrock going all the way along, see what that's got to give. But that's not a bad sign for, I say, 5 minutes to fill a bucket, 5 minutes to sluice it. I'll have that all day long. So as I say, fill another bucket and see what that's got to give. So I've just filled the second bucket just from this sample hole. I've been working all the way down along the side of this bedrock slab. I've even had my little paintbrush out, just sweeping along all the material, all from right out inside all the nooks and crannies and cracks, just to get it all down into an area where I can then actually get it all out as well. So it's a good size sample hole really. I've been scraping a lot of this more surface material up and away, just trying to concentrate on the material that's down right near the bottom against the bedrock. So I'll get the sluice set back up, get this ran through and see what sample bucket number 2 has to hold. Yeah, so there's the results from that second test bucket out of that hole there. And again, a few nice-ish size pieces and a few more dotty pieces in the black sand as well. Started getting an increase in the black sand as well, so that's also a good indicator. I'm going to do one more bucket. If it doesn't pick up from here, then I'm going to deem, as I say, there's going to be better places around here. If I don't find anywhere, I can always come back to this. This isn't going anywhere. But as I say, it's not a bad showing for, again, 5 minutes to fill a bucket, 5 minutes to sluice it, a couple of minutes to pan it. But I'm just still hoping for those little bit bigger, chunkier pieces than what's come out so far. So I'll get these snuffered up. As I say, I'll do one more bucket from this area, and then, as I say, we might go for a walk, have a bit of a lunch break, and walk up the stream, see where else looks as though it might be worth a little dabble. There we go, that's 4 minutes to fill another bucket's worth. And you can see the bedrock slab is actually starting to curl round as well, so I'm hoping that's going to be another catch area. We'll find out. I'll run this through the sluice. I might shot another couple more scoops worth just to top it off. Then as I say, we'll run this through the sluice and see what that's got. So another couple of nice bits and a few more specky micro dotty bits in the black sands as well. So it's producing small bits, but not really what I would be hoping for. So I might do one more bucket, see what that gives, then it'll be break for lunchtime. The weather's turning now as well, so we'll see whether it's going to be worth continuing for the rest of the day or not. But as I say, I'll get all this snuffed up, run one more bucket. I probably won't film that, I'll just show the finish of that, and then we'll see whether it's going to be worth continuing with all of the rest of the flood gravels or not. So there's the third and final bucket's worth of material just emptied out into the pan from the sluice. As you can see, the hole's got a lot bigger. The actual bedrock slope that goes down does cut off to the left as well. It is going down, but to be able to work all of the bedrock material that's on there, all of this top loamy flood material would all have to get removed, and that's just too big a job for me for what gold I'm actually getting out of the material to justify it. So unless this pan has the best gold of the trip so far in, and I couldn't see any in the sluice, so it's not looking hopeful, but you never know. I'll give it a pan out now, but if not, then that'll be it for the day. The weather's turned, as you can see. It's certainly not the best of weather. It started raining as well, so if that's not going to be the best plan, as I say, then that'll be it for the day, and I'll choose a new spot for the rest of the trip. So I'll get this all panned out and see what's in it. So that bucket just had a few more bits of gold to offer on that one, but again, just not enough to justify the amount of overburden that would have to be cleared to be able to work it all. I could sluice everything, but that would be a hell of a lot of sluicing to do. And again, it's just for small little bits of flood gold that are getting trapped up. Nothing that's been considered a picker has come out yet, so I think that's going to be about it for this particular hole. I'm going to get these bits snuffered up. I might have a quick dabble around one of the other big boulders around here as well, but again, if that doesn't produce anything, then that'll be it. So yeah, I might have another quick dabble behind a different boulder. I'll pick it up if I find anything. Let's have a look. Just as a very final test of the area, that huge flat slab there, that was actually lying on top of this area, and it was allowing a nice low pressure area underneath it where there was a nice hole, material was building up. So I've moved that flat slab out, ran a full bucket going all the way underneath the big boulder, as you can see there, right down as far as my shovel could get in. Ran a full bucket's worth, not a single speck. So that's it, I'm not going to bother anymore. I'm going to just throw a couple of big boulders into these big holes. The rest will just get filled in the next flood anyway, as long as there's no big holes left over. That's all I care about. So I'll flip that slab back over, throw a couple of boulders in here, and then that's going to be it for this hole. You can see though, as I say, that's a good area that's been worked around there. All the way along the side there has been brushed out with paint brushes and things like that, and all the way behind the back of the slab and down as well. It's had a good few nice little bits of gold, but no pickers or anything, just a few nice small flakes here and there. So that's going to be it for this hole, this area. I'm going to pack up. As I say, the weather's turned, so next outing it'll be a different area. I've abandoned the previous hole that I was working the first day and a half that I was here. The weather's still not really improved much. It's overcast. It's stopped raining now, thankfully, but it was raining earlier on. I've just managed to climb up to the highest point I've actually been up here before. It's really, really nice, really, really beautiful. But the entire place is just complete boulder alley, all the way from here, all the way back down to the stream where I started when I first got here. It's just complete boulders all the way through. I'll try and film some on the way back as well, just to show you, but it's just ridiculous. It's certainly loads of places to work, but they're all going to be similar sort of material. It's all going to be light flood material, just work that gets caught behind any boulders in flood. So it's been quite awkward to actually decide where is going to be best to work. There's a big boulder down there that I'm thinking is going to be best, so I'll show you that in a second. I just thought I'd show you the actual surroundings. Just a shame the weather's not a little bit better, just to show it off. Yeah, it's really, really nice. So that's a good hour hike up the mountain so far, so I'm going to have a little look around. There's all my gear there. I'll show you the area I'm thinking of working. I'm thinking all those gravels just beneath this big boulder. You can see when the water's going to be coming down, it's going to be forcing its way all the way through. That's a boil out point over there, that's really deep. But you can see that boulder goes in and quite deep. So I'm thinking have a little nibble at those gravels, see what they have to give, if anything. If they don't, as I say, there's plenty more places to work all the way back to the stream as well, so there's no shortage of prospective areas. It's just a case of seeing which one's got to give. So I'll get all my gear out, get cracked on, and see what this one's going to give. So I've just filled my first bucket up of the new hole, new spot. As you can see, I've managed to get a good size amount of material out of there. It's all been classified through, so all of the material in the bucket is all relatively fine. That'll have all fit through that classifier. Bit awkward to get set up with the sluice around here just because of the way the waterway actually flows. Hopefully that's going to be okay. It looks okay. Might still need a little tweak here or there before I start. But as I say, I'm just about to start sluicing, so I'm going to make sure that's 100% right. Sluice this through. See if this has anything to show for it. Hopefully it will do. Hopefully it'll be a little bit of a better showing than the last one. Only one way to find out though, so let's get the sluice on and see what's in it.
So just a couple of little specs to show for that bucket run. But I'm not going to give up on the hole yet. I'd say that was just the very first bucket, and at least it has showed a little bit of gold. Not a lot, but it still actually showed some. And that's still all pretty much just going to be top surface material that I've worked there. So now I've opened the hole a little bit, I should be able to get into it with a hand pump, and that should be able to get a little bit deeper down, and that should hopefully be able to tell me whether it's going to be worth working or not. So I'll run another bucket or two at least, and then that'll determine whether this area is going to be worth working, or taking a pick of God knows how many other areas that you've got to choose from up here. So I'll crack on, get one more bucket ran through and see what that one's got. So I've just ran a second bucket, this time to the right of where I did the first one. You can see that's where I did the first hole, that's where I've just taken out the second hole. And there's 4, 5 okay little bits in there. One bigger than all the rest obviously, but still 4 other nicer bits, and then there's a few other bits and bobs scattered around in the black sand as well. So I'm going to get those snuffed up. I might be able to run one more bucket for the day, but the weather's still, as you can see, very, very misty, overcast. It's raining at the moment. Very, very cold, and having to dip hands into cold water all the time, it's no fun really. So I'm thinking another bucket, 2 at the roast, then we'll call that a day. So I'll get this snuffed up. Hopefully the next bucket's going to have a little bit better show for it. The next one's probably going to be in between the two, and then we'll see where we go from there. Bucket number 3, let's go. Just a few more dotty specky bits off that one. So with the weather turning, I think that's going to be me for the day. I might record some of the trip on the way back just so you can get to take in some of the scenery that I'm looking at while I'm doing all my prospecting here. So I hope you found this video enjoyable. If you did, do have a look at my channel. There's loads of other videos on there as well, loads of prospecting trips, different places in Scotland. Hit that subscribe button as well, and good video, good old thumbs up. Thanks for watching. Cheers. Let's go for a walk. It's only about 5 degrees outside, overcast, raining. It's been raining all night as well, so it's very, very cold. As you can see, I'm pretty much all as wrapped up as I can be. So I've been trying a couple of spots further downstream for early on in my trip. There's a couple of videos on my channel of that. I've also tried a little spot just up there on this side of the river. Only found a few little specks of that one. Again, there's a video on my channel on that one. So today I'm going to be trying this little stream that's coming down here. This is actually pretty much the bowl of the Crom Allt, where you've got all of the different streams feeding down into the different parts of the rivers, and they all converge right here. So this particular stream is being fed from that little gully, and then when you go around the bend, there's about 3 different streams feeding into this one as well. Now when I was walking up here, I could see a few holes that have been filled in with big boulders, which goes to show some people have been working along here. So I'm going to give it a try. I've had a little spot down here that I think might be okay. That little gravel bank just there beneath the bedrock slab that's going down. I'm going to work all the material all around up against the bedrock slab. Hopefully I'll be able to sluice pretty much straight off the end. And hopefully by the end of the day, I should pretty much have a good idea whether that area's got any gold or not, and whether it's going to be worth trying this stream anymore, or whether it's going to be worth just going back downstream for the rest of the trip, because it's a hell of a hike to get up here. I was about 45-50 minutes and a good bit of out of breath as well, but I'm not particularly the fittest person, so at least I'm here. I'm going to give it a go. So I'm going to get all my gear set up, fill a couple of buckets, give them a sluice through, and see what we're going to get for the day. Right, so there's the first bucket of material ready to sluice through. I managed to get my sluice nicely set up just at the end of this run, just by moving a couple of big boulders and then basically just running it off where the waterfall would have been. So hole wise, you can see it's coming along quite nicely. This was pretty much all surface level, so you can see there's a nice hole emerging there. I say I'm still going to do another bucket out of this as well. Even if this one doesn't really hold much, I've got to do at least 2 buckets just to be sure for myself. There's a good sample run, just to see if there's anything actually going to be in the hole or not. So it's all set up ready to go, so I'll get me sluicing on and see what it's got to hold. Well, that very first bucket held absolutely nothing, not a single speck. But I'm still going to run a second bucket out of the hole before writing it off completely. It may well be a case that it's been done relatively recently and it's just filled back up with a natural flood. I don't know. It's very mucky, dirty water that's coming out of it, so it's not exactly all fresh and clean. So the only way to find out really is just to run the second bucket, see if this is going to hold anything. If it doesn't, then I might consider filling it back in, moving on. It's still early in the day though, so worst case scenario, I can always run a third bucket, then write it off completely. First things first, get this second bucket ran. Hopefully this one's going to have some gold to show, and then that means I can just crack on and hopefully find nice bits throughout the day. So we'll get this sluiced and see what's in it. Yeah, well, so I've just sluiced through that second bucket, and again, not a single speck. So I'm just going to throw a couple of big boulders in that hole and forget about that one. I would have expected to have seen at least a couple of micro dot specks, just if there was going to be anything in there on the way down towards anything better. I've already scraped along the side of the bedrock with the pump, things like that. It's just not giving anything out, so it's either been completely cleared out before or it's never held anything in it. So that's pretty much a wipeout really for that hole. But that's the name of the game. It's called prospecting, not mining. You can't just rock up and expect to find gold in every single hole, even though you'd prefer to and like to. But unfortunately, that hole, no more. So I'm going to have a little mooch around and see if there's anywhere else that takes my fancy. If there isn't, I'm going to pack up and head back downstream a bit, because I'm not going to do this hike again for the next couple of days. It was nice to get up here and have a look, but I'm going to concentrate a little bit further downstream for the remainder of the trip. So as I say, I'm going to fill in that hole, have a little look around, see if there's anywhere here while I'm here that's going to be worth a little dabble. If not, I'll crack on and have a look at a different spot. So I've abandoned that hole from previously. I've moved right downstream, and I do mean right down compared to where I was earlier on. It's a nice open area, this bit, just around the bend there. There's a concentrated chute of water, as you can see. It's that shooting down there, it's creating a huge boulder pile there. That's obviously a low pressure zone from where all of the stones are getting kicked up from boiling down at the bottom, but there's no way any of those boulders are getting moved to get into any material there. So working downstream from that, you can see it turns into a bend, and it also starts to flatten out as well. So as it'll be flattening out, that'll be lowering the pressure of the water, and as it's going around the bend as well, that should hopefully be sucking a lot of the gravels in onto the inside bend up against this bedrock slab. There's a nice mixture of stones here, so this is just off the bend itself, so I'm going to give these a try. Should be plenty of spaces to be able to set up a sluice as well. Looks as though somebody's obviously been working here, because there's a tub of concentrate that's been left here as well. I can't see any obvious holes from where they've been working, but don't worry, that'll be left exactly where it is, and whatever's in it will stay in it. I'm not interested in robbing anybody's pay dirt or anything, so as I say, now it's just going to be a case of getting all the gear back out, clearing away some of the bigger boulders, and working against the bedrock slab, going down, and hopefully we'll find a little bit of gold for the day. Can't be any worse than the first hole. So here goes bucket number one from the new spot. Can't be any worse than the last one. Only about a third of the way through the bucket, so still plenty of material left to go. Hopefully there's going to be a sign of gold, but again, this is relatively surface-ish material. I followed the bedrock slab down, and it looks as though it's bottomed out a little bit, so some of this material should hopefully be off that. Some of it's just going to be off the material on the way down, so hopefully there's going to be a sign of gold. If not, I'll still run at least another bucket, just widen out the hole a little bit, and then again, if that's still not showing, pack up, move on, and find another spot. But here's hoping it won't have to do that again. Let's just try and find that little bit of a trace of gold. So it's not a very good day at all today so far. There was no gold in that hole so far yet either. I should have made this little film just before I stepped in the hole as the water had cleared, because you can actually see that as this slab is going down, it does bottom straight off underneath. So we're going to take another bucket and work up towards that little slab there, You can see it hasn't moved in a while, and that itself should in theory be a bit of a catch zone as well. I'll probably discard a lot of the surface overburden and just try and concentrate on working the slab up towards it and see what that's got the hole. Again, if that second bucket's got no gold, then that'll be it for this spot as well. I'm not going to crack on working material after material with no signs, no traces. So it does go to show you can't always win it. So there's that second bucket sluiced through, and finally there's the first gold show of the day. One slightly bigger bit and a couple of small speckier bits just next to it as well. Nothing to write home about, nothing to break the bank, but at least it's actually a show of gold rather than just absolutely nothing for the whole day in 2 holes. So it's a good sign. Still nothing to get excited about, I'll freely admit that, but at least it's at least a bit, which is better than absolutely nothing. So I'm going to continue with this hole. It's relatively easy working, it's getting quite late in the day anyway, so I'm going to push this hole on and a little bit deeper as well. At least I've had a show of gold, so hopefully the next bucket's going to be an improvement. If it's not, then I'll probably just pack it up and that'll be it for the day. 2 spots tested, 5 or 6 buckets ran in total, so yeah, it's not the best day so far. Still plenty of time for it to be picking up though, if the weather holds and it stays light, but it's just been raining on and off all day. Not really the best of conditions, but it is what it is. So I'll get cracked on, get this snuffed up, get the next bucket filled. Well, there's bucket number 3 of spot number 2. Ran, sluiced, panned, and it's the best pan of the day. It's still definitely not record breaking, ground breaking, anything like that, but because I've been pretty much striking out so far, to see a nice sized piece like that with a few more smaller pieces around it. There's another bit down there starting to escape as well, a few more dotty micro bits down there, but that's certainly the nicest piece of the day, which wouldn't be hard, as I say, because there's been very little to choose from so far. But it's still quite a nice sized piece, that one. So I'm going to continue with this hole, seeing as the spec piece is increasing. I mean micro dot wise there's probably about 20-30 specks, like really tiny fly poop type size specks in there, but a couple of good sized bits in there as well. So I'm going to continue with the hole, work it again out towards that slab that's sticking out a bit there. Again, working against the main bedrock slab and trying to just scrape all the way along the bottom with the spade, and then pumping out any material that I can't scoop up with the spade with the pump. So I'll probably be able to get 1 more bucket for the day, maybe 2, and then I might revisit this hole again as well. We'll see. So first things first, get this snuffed out and get at least 1 more bucket done. Well, can you see what I can see? I hope so, because it's been staring at me all the way through this 3rd bucket of the hole. That lovely little piece right there. The mat's got it at the moment, and once the mat gets a piece of gold, it doesn't let go of it. So I don't have any fear about just slopping loads of material straight over the top of it. say that's not going anywhere, so that looks like a really nice piece for the clean out. Hopefully there might be a few more pieces as well. So I've just finished that bucket and there's that lovely piece there. I should actually be able to pick that out in a second. Certainly makes moving spots worthwhile, even if that's the only bit that's in this actual sluice. It's still going to be worth it as well. That's a really, really nice looking piece, that one. Looks quite rough and textured as well, so I'll get that picked out, give the rest of the material a pan out and see if there's anything else in it. So you can see that's a beautiful piece of gold, that one. A lot of shape and texture and definition to it. Really, really nice. So there's a few more nice specky pieces to go with that nicer chunkier piece. Unfortunately I've just actually dropped that nice chunkier piece and I've dropped it onto quite rough ground just down there. I've taken a full pan's worth of material where I thought it dropped onto. It hasn't showed back up yet, but I'm going to revisit this hole again tomorrow. I'll cover that in another video. So as I say, as I'm working with that, I might still have another scratch and a scrape around there because I know for a fact there's a really nice piece of gold there, but whether I can actually dig it out and find it again or not, or whether it's just gone back to the gravel god, so to speak, who knows. As I say, I'll have another scratch around again tomorrow while I continue with this haul. I've been up here for the last few days, trying sampling different spots from near the top, working my way down. This is an area I tried out yesterday, and although there was no gold in the first bucket, the second bucket had a good show of gold, and the third bucket had a really nice picker, which I then managed to drop while I was trying to film it just in this area. So I'm going to be taking a bucket's worth of material out of here just to try and retrieve that picker that I did drop yesterday. Then I'm going to be continuing with this hole. You can see I'm working against a bedrock slab going off along the side of the hillside. It's on a bend that's coming around the corner from just where there's a big waterfall around there as well. You can see there's a huge boulder stack there, and then this area, it then starts to widen out, level out, so this will be a low pressure area, which is again why you're starting to see all the boulders forming. Now, because this is on the inside of the bend as well and it's right up against the bedrock slab, I'm hoping there's going to be some nice showings of gold, especially as I start to get in along all of the boulders that have been wedged up against the side of this slab for God knows how many years. As I say, when I was working the hole yesterday, not much in the first bucket, but it progressively got better until I got that picker out, and then it was just getting a little bit too late and dark in the day to continue. So I'm back here for a fresh day. I'm going to be taking a few buckets out. Hopefully there's going to be a continuation of show of gold throughout. If there isn't, worst case scenario, it's going to be a case of packing all my gear up, trying a completely new spot yet again. But that's the name of the game. It's called prospecting, not mining, for a reason. It's a case of trying to find out where's it actually going to be worth your time spending and putting all the effort in. So I'm going to get all my gear up, get my sluice set up in the stream, start getting the first bucket filled up out of the hole. As I say, I'll be working along the crevice underneath that boulder, and then you can also see there's a cut in this bedrock as well. This bedrock is a shelf that goes down, then it looks as though it drops a little bit more there, so I'm going to be cleaning all that out with a gravel pump as well. I'll probably be discarding a lot of this very surface loamy material just to be working the bottom surface material that's actually up against the actual bedrock. So I'll get my gear set up, get cracked on and see what we're going to find. Well, I've tried to retrieve the picker from yesterday. I've taken a full bucket's worth pretty much from where I was standing. I know I was standing here filming it, it dropped. I've taken all of the surface material off, took a few big stones out, taken all that out as well, and it's gone. So I'm going to be leaving that here. So if anybody knows this area, there's definitely a really nice picker right there. As I say, this is the area. I'm not fussed about showing it because I'm not going to be back here anytime soon at all. So right behind that stone, there's a nice picker somewhere. Dig your heart out. Right, I'm going to crack on, continue with the hole. Hopefully there's going to be a few more pickers to come out of that, and I'd rather continue with the proper hole rather than just removing surface material trying to retrieve one picker. So after abandoning the hunt for the picker, I've just filled up the first bucket. I'm just about to start sluicing it through. I'll show you the hole by the time it's all been sluiced and panned out. That should actually be a lot clearer to show again. But as you can see, I've widened it out just so I can scrape around that bottom step on the bedrock slope that's going down that I showed earlier on. It's widening out from the feel of it with the spade anyway, so hopefully that's going to have a nice bottom to it, which hopefully again should hold a little bit of gold. So that's been the first bucket, and then the next bucket, depending on what's actually in it, will be behind that boulder there, working again against the slab, working back along there. So this is basically a quick test to find out whether it's worth extending the hole back or working back towards the boulder against the slab. So there's only one way to find out, and that's to get this all sluiced and see what's in it. So there's that pan cleaned up a little bit better while I didn't have to film it all at the same time. One nicer bit at the top, a couple of smaller bits next to it, and then there's plenty of little dotty, specky, fly poopy type stuff in the black sands as well. So that's all going to get snuffed up for a final clean out when I'm at home. Not as big as the nice picker that I left yesterday down there somewhere, but still, it's at least I'm straight back onto the gold. So that's the extension tried. Now I'm going to go under the boulder, working against the slab, and hopefully that might have a little bit better. So first things first, get this snuffed up and crack on and get the next bucket filled. Oh, there's my back nearly done in. That big ass boulder there was the one that was sticking along from the slab, going along the actual boulder way. I don't even want to guess how much that weighs. It's absolutely ridiculous in size. Almost put me back out getting it out, but it had to come out because it was about to fall into the hole because I was digging around and behind it. It could have definitely done with a two-man job to get that out, as I don't even want to guess the weight, but ridiculous. So I'm going to give myself a couple of minutes just to recover and crack on, get this bucket filled up. So I've worked the full bucket from where that huge slab came out of. Nothing but literally just a couple of tiniest of specks. I've then worked out a little bit in the hole, and it's back on the gold a little bit. There's 3 or 4 okay sized, again only specks really. I wouldn't call they're nowhere near pickers or anything, they're just good sized specks, with plenty more in the black sand dotted about in that as well. So those are going to get snuffed up, but it's not really worth the amount of effort that's going into it. I'll show you the hole now. Now the water's had a chance to clear out. You can see there's a huge cut into the slab going along there, and it jags off a bit, then it drops straight down. There's another shelf going along in the water line there, and then you can see again that then drops off again straight away as well. So I am thinking it might be worth working this material back, trying to discard most of this overburden just to try and work the material that's then will have been dropping down into that bottom shelf there, because for any material to have worked down the bedrock slab, down that first drop and then down that second drop, that's probably going to be in there a good while, but it's going to be a hell of a lot of digging to actually be able to get it all out. So as I say, I just don't know whether it's going to be worth it or not. So I'm going to get those snuffed up. I'll probably run one more bucket, widening it out a little bit, trying to chase that hole a little bit deeper, just to see if it is going to be worth it or not. If the next bucket has a better gold showing, then, as I say, I might continue, just discard most of this flood overburden gravel, try and chase that little bit further. If the next bucket's not going to really show much, then that'll be it for this hole really. I'll just fill it back in, because it's not going to be worth the amount of effort that would be required to clear all this away to be able to chase that decent, that hole. Otherwise, as soon as you start touching it, all the material around it's just going to start falling into the hole. So ideally, to be able to work that, most of this is going to have to get removed, and I'm only here on my own. I'm only here for today, probably maybe one more day if I can be bothered to stay, we'll see. So it's not going to be worth the amount of effort that's going to be needed to strip this entire area. One more bucket, we'll find out whether this hole's going to be worth continuing with or not. So this is going to be probably the telltale bucket of whether I continue with that hole or not. I'm just about to start sluicing it. I've just got the sluice set up. You can see some nice diamond shapes going all the way through the water, so you can see there's going to be some nice low pressure zones throughout the water zone as well. So I'll get a start on the sluicing, and hopefully there's going to be a show of gold. If not, and as I say, it might just be a case of filling that hole back in, which will be a shame because there's been a hell of a lot of work gone into it. But it's pointless putting even more effort in if there's no gold, so we'll find out in a minute. Well, there's the result of that pan, well, that bucket anyway. Again, just a few small specky bits, nothing anywhere near flake or picker size or anything like that. So I'm actually going to fill this hole back in and just abandon it. You can see the amount of material that's just waiting to fall into that actual slope. As soon as you start taking any stones out, it just all wants to fall straight back in again. And it would all need digging out on the surface just to be able to be sure that it's not going to slide back in to try and get down to the bottom. There's a bit of a strange shape formation in the bedrock though, the way it just sort of cuts across, goes along a little bit, then just drops straight down again. Now that boulder there, I'm presuming that's a boulder and not part of the bedrock, and as if that slid in, I've already done my back in, almost taking that one out, so I'm not taking that one out as well. That one looks even bigger. So I'm going to get these snuffed up and get this hole filled back in, call that for the day. I might see if there's anywhere else that's going to be worth having a little scratch around on. If not, that'll be it. But we'll see, we'll see. As I say, first things first, get this snuffed up, get the stuff packed up, and see if I see anywhere that looks tempting on the way back.